reading is one thing, but it was the school of reality that when you actually sell thousands and thousands and thousands of these, you learn pretty quickly, like, oh, that's not good. Okay. And we've gotten it to a point now where, I have this down to a fine science. But in the beginning, we didn't really know. People were not getting paid on certain claims. And we were like, man, who knew? Secondary prime. No one told me about that. Never heard of that. And it's something that most people don't know about. Even for myself, I did all my research. It took time to even figure a lot of this stuff out.
Are you a business owner, manager, CEO, or entrepreneur that needs some help nurturing your growing business? Come see Jonathan Adams and Sam Droshak, two business consultants with over 30 years of experience providing businesses just like yours with a little bit of therapy to maximize their potential.
Hey everyone, welcome to Business Therapy, a show about helping real professionals solve real business problems.
Hey everyone, it's John Adams. Welcome back to Business Therapy, the show where we tackle common business process problems and provide insight that helps you thrive. Today on the show, we will be discussing startups challenges and the problem that it solved and how the challenges were overcome. We're fortunate to be joined by Ben Camille. Ben, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. And why don't you tell the audience a little bit about yourself and what brought you to business therapy?
Sure. So I used to run for about 20 years. I ran a luxury tour company, and this is going to lead into what we're doing now. And when I say luxury, I mean super high end. I mean, we're talking about just for a week event, families would pay $400,000 just for a week. Okay, so I'm talking the ultimate in luxury. Our event typically happened in California. And so when COVID came, we were shut down for really like 3 years. And obviously, this is what I was doing for 20 years. I'm making it a quick story, but that was something that was, tremendously scary and difficult. And I knew coming out of COVID, no one was going to feel comfortable booking these tours without travel insurance. So it wasn't anything I really thought about necessarily at the time. But now it was probably the most important thing on my list, because I said, if I don't get this figured out and I don't sell this year, me and my family are in big trouble. And I wasn't like other tour operators. I think I'm not saying this to pat myself on the back, but many tour operators, they didn't see this opportunity, right? They just said to their clients, okay, go to Allianz, go to AIG, go to one of the big travel insurance companies, go buy travel insurance, and then come give us your hundreds of thousands of dollars and come to our event. I wasn't happy with that. That was never the type of operator that I was. I wanted to know in real life, this is a black box. Nobody knows. No one has a clue what travel insurance is, who actually pays these bills, what are the differences in policies, which companies are fantastic, which companies are terrible. No one knows anything. Even the most savvy traveler is like, oh, I'm going to South Africa on a $50,000 safari and I need travel insurance. They don't know anything. They don't know what the hell they're buying. They don't know what to do in real life. And as I kept going down this road, I went to industry events. I started studying every policy that existed in America. And I kind of look at it as a blessing from above to say, who the hell cares about travel insurance? Nobody but me. I became obsessed with it. And I started to learn over time which companies were great. I started to make real connections in the industry. I met the CEOs. I met the head of the claims department. I started selling this to my own clients. I knew which policies would be good for them. I went to all the other tour operators in my niche. I said, look, you guys are in the same boat, right? You have thousands of clients. All these people need help. You need help. You don't know anything about this. Send all your people to us. I started a side company called Travel Defend, which is what this is what we do now. And I said, look, send them to us. We're going to take care of everybody. We're going to give you back a commission. We'll make sure they're protected. And that was how the business began. I didn't even think it was necessarily a business. I kind of just started on the side. And now this is important. How do people buy travel insurance in America without us, right? This is an important question. We typically work with luxury clients. Either someone will go to, like I said, a website like AIG or Allianz or whatever. Those companies have one or two options to offer, right? And do they know what they're buying? No, they don't. Do they know the clauses? Do they understand if it's primary coverage, secondary coverage? I mean, we can get very nerdy, very deep into this. But the point is, people have no clue what they're buying. or they can go to an Expedia type site that has 1,000 options, which is the same problem. Again, you're reading, you're saying, okay, well, blah, 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 blah. And these are all laymen. People don't know what they're doing. More importantly, much more importantly, what do people actually do in real life when they have a real problem? Who are they? They're a faceless nothing. You're one of millions. Okay. Travel insurance, Allianz, for example, did 1.3 billion in sales just last year. Okay. You are a nothing on the highest level. You try and call anyone there. Who are you talking to? You're talking to someone in the Philippines. Okay. So the fact is that what we do is we have a concierge service. We work with hundreds of tour operators, travel agents. We have thousands and thousands of clients. The heavy lifting of our business is phone calls. You don't have to buy with a phone call. We can go into that later. But most people call our team. We have about 20 employees here. And we're all experts in travel insurance. I am the foremost expert that exists in travel insurance in America. You call our team. We figure out what's good for you. Because again, we're not Allianz. We don't have one option. We have every option. We're experts at everything. We figure out what's good for you, okay? We do the paperwork for you. We get you protected in real life because, again, we have our own dedicated claims analysts at these companies dedicated just to our clients. So you get tremendous priority. And we add zero cost. I don't add a penny to the cost. If you find a policy, you say, well, it's $800 over here. Fine. We'll say the same policy for $800. But again, now you're not on your own. You're not a faceless nothing anymore. You have our power behind you. We also have a WhatsApp we set up with every client that's monitored 24 hours a day by our team. Let's say someone's in Spain, they break their leg, they need help. We can help them in real life. In Israel on October 7th, okay, we had over 4,000 clients just in Israel at that one time, okay? Everyone was freaking out, trying to get out. Flights out were stopped, right? Many of the flights they couldn't get. You needed private planes. People were, some hospital stuff. People were having panic attacks. Their hotels ended because they thought they were leaving, and now they needed hotels for quite a while, weeks. You were there. Okay, well, unfortunately, you didn't have travel insurance with us. I'm sure you wish you did. The point is, we called at the minute. We called Mike Meeks. He's the CEO of Robin Assist. He's the travel insurance emergency service behind many travel insurance companies in America. Of course, we know him personally. I have his personal cell phone number. We called him immediately. Within 30 seconds, he created a secondary line for our clients that they could call and get to the front of the line immediately, because he knows that we bring millions and millions of dollars to these companies. And so the point is, this is the ultimate win-win. There is no reason ever not to use our service. We only bring value. Our motivation is aligned with you. We simply want you to get paid. We take it as a personal affront if a travel insurance company is not giving our client priority in paying. And we're the only one in America doing this. No one else exists doing this. And so we are uniquely positioned. And I know that's why you invited me on your show, because you saw how special we are. And you were like, oh my God, I need to speak to these people. And so I'm happy to be here to do that.
Do you just focus on high end?
No, we can do anything. I mean, in terms of marketing and things like that, I'm not going to go after. Understand the disparity. I don't know how old you are. You look like a young guy. Let's say you are a young guy. Okay, you don't have to say you look young. So what's wrong with that? Let's say you have wife, kids, whatever. Let's say you are going to Israel. Let's say, for example. By the way, 90% of companies not even doing Israel anymore. So you need to know which companies will even do those type of policies, which of course we do. But the point is, let's say it's not an expensive trip, or you don't want to protect the trip costs. You say, look, medical is very important. You can't go to Israel without medical coverage. It's dangerous. For you and your family, what is it going to cost? $100, $200? Okay, so it's nothing. You should never go anywhere outside of America without travel insurance just for the medical portion. But what makes travel insurance expensive? Okay, we just did a policy, I don't know, yesterday, whatever. This is common for us, but it was two almost 80-year-old couples, or 78 years old, something like that, going on each couple was $90,000 trip to Africa safari, okay? If you look at it in a normal way, I mean, they're almost 80 years old, 10% of trip cost is very normal. I mean, that's just, we're not adding any cost. I mean, that's like a very normal amount. And so if you look at it right there, that's $18,000 in travel insurance. Their travel insurance policies were about $20,000, right? So you see the disparity between you going for $100 and these older luxury travelers. That's where the money is. And so that's where we're going to put our marketing dollars. That's where we're going to go after those type of clients, and those type of tour operators are going to send. That's the ones that we want to partner with. But we have plenty of people come through here for the $100 situation, which is fine. We help everyone. But in terms of marketing, I'm not going to put marketing dollars for that.
Where's your point of intersection with the customer? So the customer is going on the sites or doing whatever they're doing to arrange their trip. Is it through the travel agencies primarily, or are there other points?
We have about 400 feeders right now. So we look at a feeder or / partnership with tour operators mostly, and some travel agents. And so, for example, let's say you are running Jonathan Adams Private Italy Tours, okay? Jonathan Adams, as a private Italy tour operator, typically is an expert in Italy and knows nothing about travel insurance, right? But he knows that he wants his people protected properly. Plus, he's offering a very high-end tour. So he wants a concierge service that matches what he offers. And so he'll say, look, guys, we strongly recommend you get travel insurance. Call Travel Defend. They will help you. And that's how we get most of our business through the door. We get a lot of word of mouth as well. And literally just next week, which if I'm on a business therapy session, I use you for free therapy, I'm going to start doing all sorts of Facebook ads, Instagram ads, things like that, maybe even Reddit ads, because going after the end user is expensive. However, if I can break even on it, the snowball that creates is insane. I mean, and I'm the only one with a message.
Do you, is it just individuals, or have you done this work, have you done insurance for corporations? So they have an event or something like that?
So we looked into that. I don't really do any corporate stuff. From my research and people I've spoken to, they've told me that it's really not something that is big on the corporate level, because a lot of these corporations, especially like the really big companies, they have policies that cover all their employees just as a standard. That's kind of like built into, the insurance of the business. But again, I haven't done a ton of research into that. I was feeling that is something that has potential, but I was told from a few sources that it's really not what I think it is. But again, I've only been doing this 2.5 years. And so there's so many things on my list to tackle. And that is one of them that I would want to get further clarity on that. Sure.
Because I can imagine that they would have the medical coverage, or think they do, but in terms of like a wholesale event, like the investment of an event, especially when we had the specter of COVID, was.
Yeah, no, I hear that. I don't know if that market's out there or not, but at some point I'm going to get to it. There's a lot to do here. That's why I'm saying, like, people that I speak to, they're like, oh, I have a side hustle, this side hustle. I'm like, I'm focused on one thing, and just building one thing is insanely difficult. I can't imagine all these side hustles and all this stuff,
And what's the difference between your insurance and, let's say, a credit card, giving some amount of insurance or other?
Right. So really your question is what is the difference between real travel insurance? Because not my insurance, I'm not selling my company, but
real travel insurance and what somebody thinks is covering them.
Right. So typically, again, I can only speak on a typical basis because credit cards, there's thousands of them, right? They're all different. Typically, credit cards don't offer any medical coverage, number one. Typically, credit cards will cap at maybe, let's say, $10,000 a trip. Okay. So if a trip costs more, many of them won't cover up to $10,000. They'll actually cover zero. They'll say you're over the limit, you get nothing. Additionally, what is the whole game in terms of travel insurance? It's all about covered reasons. What is covered? What's a covered reason? Why should I give you your money back? You could say, well, my wife got pregnant. Is that covered? Is that not covered? Right? Instead of a good policy, which typically would have 20 to 30 covered reasons, a credit card could be watered down to 2 or 1 or 3. So really, they're not real travel insurance. Anyone that thinks they're really covered, and people do. sometimes, not often, but sometimes people will call and say, oh, I don't need it, I'm covered. Credit cards are really good for like little things like baggage loss, bag delay, little things like that. But if there's a serious trip going on, it does not cover you in any real way.
And do you sell insurance for just a particular trip, or is there any subscription or anything else that would generally cover people on travel?
So there is such a thing in the industry called annual plans. We don't sell them because annual plans are fraught with problems. If they were good, I would sell thousands of them. The good annual plan product has not been created. The problem with annual plans overall, and it's just, again, I'm not the one creating these policies. I'm just the one selling them. But annual plans are all secondary coverage as opposed to primary, which we could talk about if you really want to. That's the most important thing to know about travel insurance. If I had to pick one, the medical limits are very low. They're all watered down crap. I mean, why they do this, I don't know. But annual plans, people think they buy it and then they set it and forget it. I'm covered for the year. It's not the case. You have to let the insurance company know every time you're traveling and log into the portal and all this stuff. So it's not really different than buying a policy every time. It's just that people are confused about it, and it offers very low benefits, and we just don't like it. And so I only want to sell products that I know are fantastic.
Sure. And I guess the particulars matter of the trip. So.
They do, sure. But in general, if something is secondary coverage, I won't sell it. Primary coverage, just I'll tell you quickly if you want to know what the difference is. I think it's important. Primary coverage means from step one, the insurance company is saying it's their obligation to pay you, which is what you think you're buying when you buy travel insurance. You think they're going to pay you if you have a problem. If you buy something, and by the way, many companies hide this in the fine print, buried under 50 pages. If you buy a policy that's secondary coverage, you've unwittingly given the insurance company the right to point the finger elsewhere before paying you. And so, yeah, maybe we'll pay you. Maybe this guy is more responsible than us to pay you. And that opens a can of worms and a world of hell that we sold in the beginning because I actually didn't know much. And I learned the hard way early on. And that's why I am such an expert now, because it was like, yes, reading is one thing, but it was the school of reality that when you actually sell thousands and thousands and thousands of these, you learn pretty quickly, like, oh, that's not good. Okay. And we've gotten it to a point now where, I have this down to a fine science. But in the beginning, we didn't really know. People were not getting paid on certain claims. And we were like, man, who knew? Secondary prime. No one told me about that. Never heard of that. And it's something that most people don't know about. Even for myself, I did all my research. It took time to even figure a lot of this stuff out. But don't worry. If you're listening, you can call us now. You will be protected perfectly at this point. You're not a guinea pig anymore.
And this entire company was started just to solve a problem for your primary work. Your primary work being
right.
Vacations or trips, and then you were just trying to solve this problem. Didn't see it solved better anywhere else. So
right. So then I stopped doing tours. I started to realize, you know what, this is a way better business with tours. We already spoke about side hustles and stuff like that. This to me is a major league situation. Okay. This is like you tell me, well, I'm a starting pitcher on the Yankees, but I also have this tour business. No. I got to focus on the Yankees. Okay. So what we're doing here has potential for billions because, again, all it is messaging. We get the message out to enough travelers. We're going to build which we have already built a tremendous following, but it's only going to grow once we actually start putting marketing dollars. I've never put a penny of marketing dollars into this yet. It's crazy. But my business partner at the time, we grew up together since we were 10 years old. He didn't want to come with me on this journey. He told me, no, it's not a good idea. I don't want to do it. It wasn't so obvious. Now it's much more obvious. But at the time, just like any business you're starting, there was a lot of like, are people going to adopt this? Will we be able to actually, get tour operators to partner with us? Will we actually, and there was a lot of ifs, and he just didn't want to be involved. He didn't think it would succeed. So, we're still great friends, but And he took a job as he's the CFO of a home healthcare company now. And so he's doing very well. But this wasn't such an obvious opportunity as it is now.
As I'm thinking about it, there are trips to destinations that, let's say, my wife and I have spoken about. We said, you know what, though, X, Y, or Z could happen in that location. So maybe it's too risky to plan it. And so I think that would be a good use, probably the ideal use case, like at least from my perspective of your service, because it increases the total locations that I could potentially plan a trip without being concerned.
Yeah, I mean, it depends what happens. You know, travel insurance is a legal document. So sometimes people will reach out and be like, you know, think that they're within bounds. They didn't buy, cancel for any reason. They just kind of bought, you know, a standard policy. And, you know, one of the things they're concerned about is just not covered. And so we have to be mindful of that. And our team does try and explain that. It's not like anything under the sun is covered unless you have canceled for any reason. But like what happened in Israel, if you had the right company, I keep using Allianz, I don't know why, just because they're the most famous, but Allianz, for example, in Israel on October 7th, they characterized it as an act of war, and they gave everyone $0 for that. So you can imagine, I already knew Allianz was problematic, which is why I don't use them in most cases, because whatever, that's a whole CEO made life very difficult. They switched a lot of their products to secondary coverage, not primary. So I saw this coming, you know, down the pike, and I used to use them quite a bit, and we moved off them. But thank God in Israel, none of our people had Allianz. They had other companies, and all the companies that we were with, we knew that they were fantastic. They characterized it as terrorist incident. And so if it's characterized as terrorist incident, everything is paid. They paid millions and millions of dollars. And so it's a good thing for us that they did do that. But yeah, you would have to talk to our team and say, okay, what are you actually nervous about? Because terrorist incident is covered. Yeah. What?
That's what I meant. If it's a known potential problem, then that's a good use case to come.
Well, again, it has to be something that's covered. So, you know, the U.S. State Department issuing a level 4 travel advisory not to travel somewhere, that is covered, right? But just think about it in that mindset. It can't just be your fear. Well, I saw a bunch of, you know, protesters. I'm feeling nervous. That's not enough. You need something that's covered in a legal definition.
Yeah, so then getting to the rest of our, you know, business therapy show, maybe you could describe a challenge that you've had along the way. I mean, it sounds like you've done quite a bit of learning, but specifically around maybe getting a team to work together or
It was. I see that you're a smart guy. I see that you are. You're seeing what's happening here. If I reach out to anyone, let's say Jonathan Adams, Private Italy Tours, you don't know who I am, and I reach out to you and I say the word travel insurance, you're immediately going to go, I don't want to talk to you. You're selling me something. I'm good. Thank you. Bye. Right? That is how maybe you're nicer, but that's how 9 out of 10 tour operators and travel agents, that's their method and mode. If I would call the company and say, hey, I want to talk to you guys about travel insurance, we can help your clients, they're just like not interested. Okay. So this was a big problem. And how do I get hundreds of partners if I can't get them to just listen? Because if they would just listen for a minute, like I did at the beginning of your show, and they hear that minute, they're going to be like, oh, cool. Yeah, this is actually good for us. But they wouldn't give me that minute. And this was a problem that was on the table for 6, 7, 8 months. Okay. This was not something that just got solved easily. You wanted to know about like a whiteboard session. This was more than a whiteboard session. This was like alcohol was involved. Okay. Like everything, like I'm like walking at 2 a.m. just by myself, just saying like, I know I'm sitting on an unbelievable situation and I can't get anyone to listen to me. And so how did I solve this issue? I really have solved it. How did I solve it? I started to realize, because we were still doing business. We did have initially from the tour operator world, the niche that I did have people on a daily basis purchasing policies. We did have thousands of policies that we did do even without really getting out there. And I realized that I'm sitting on a tremendous database that is actually insanely powerful. Can you imagine? Like, I have every data point you could want. I know how old is everyone, how much did they just spend on a trip, where did they travel, when did they travel, I have their emails, I have their credit cards, I have their WhatsApps, I have everything. To a tour operator, this is the most powerful data that exists. Meaning, let's say you're a tour operator, private Italy tour. They say to you, okay, Jonathan, who's your ideal client? Go ahead. Well, typically for our tour, they're over 60 years old. They spend about $10,000 a person on a trip. And we seem to get a lot of people from the East Coast. So let's talk about Florida, whatever, New York, whatever. Those are typically our clients. I can instantly now, I have a database that was built off this idea. I can find you thousands of those. These are not theoretical travelers. These are people that really travel, have bought travel insurance not that long ago. These are real hot leads. And so when I approach a tour operator now and I say, hey, we have thousands and thousands of luxury travelers. Do you want to talk? That's all I need to say. And they go, yeah, sure. And then we explain it. And then they say, this is actually brilliant. And we're not charging for this marketing. All you need to do is work with us, and we're going to help you market to these people. And they'll open our emails, they'll open our WhatsApps because they already work with us. They already know us. And so when we approach you, yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, how did you amass the data?
Every time someone purchases a policy, we have all the data.
Okay.
You can't buy a policy without, like, let's say you said you want to go wherever with your family. We would ask you, okay, what's your home address? What's your email? Give us everyone's names, dates of birth, blah, blah, blah. We'd have all this.
That's what I was trying to, I missed that.
Correct. 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 So that is something that has been a game changer for us. And a lot of tour operators now are open to hearing. And some of them don't even want the marketing for whatever reason, but it's opened them to actually hearing why we're so special. Because ultimately, what is a tour operator and a travel agent? Ultimately, what do they really want most over everything? I believe this. They care about their people. They really do. Any good tour you go to, any good travel agent, ultimately, they want to do what's best for their clients. Because this for them, listen, for me, I'm doing crazy volume. It's big money. But for these guys, some tour operators, they do 50 travelers a year, 100 travelers, 200 travelers a year. This is not a big money maker for them. But for me, it is, because I can get them plus 1,000 other tour operators just like them funneling into here. But they just want to do what's best for the clients. And once they hear, they know that this is really ultimately what's best for their client. And so we have such a great relationship with so many tour operators, travel agents.
I guess, I don't know if you have an exit plan, but your data alone would be you probably have as many bidders in business for the data as for the underlying business.
Possibly. And I think that the underlying business, we're only scratching the surface. I mean, it's so tiny as compared to what it could be. But I don't see why can't we be as big as any travel insurance company. I mean, there's no reason. All those guys are fighting with each other. They have no message. Allianz, AIG, they have no brand loyalty, and they have no message. Nobody buying from them cares less to buy from them the next time. They bought it because it was in their face and they were famous. So they said, okay, I'll buy it. There's no loyalty there. We have a message, and we have tremendous loyalty amongst our clients. Anyone that buys with us, they always buy with us again. They're very sticky. And I think we have something that, I know it's completely unique in the world of travel insurance. It doesn't exist. And so if I would sell at a later date, we would be looking for a really nice multiple there for sure.
So the challenge that you overcame ultimately was how to connect with these travel agencies, and the solution was, and this is, I guess, a general networking solve, is think about what you have that they would benefit from, and start with that message.
That's it, man. That's exactly what I did. I said I was the whole time thinking like that, but it's like a magic trick. It's obvious once you see how it's done. And then you're like, of course. But I was like, how can I entice these people? How can I, should I start my own podcast, bring them on as a guest? Like, there's many ideas, and I still may do that, by the way, but I'm saying like floating around, just like, how can I get them interested? And nothing got them interested like this. This is like, because where do tour operators and travel agents, where do they market themselves? There almost is nowhere to market. They don't have the budgets to go on Facebook and Instagram and Google ads. They can't do that stuff. Plus, there's no differentiator for most of them. So what would be their message? Oh, use me for your trip, as opposed to 8 billion other guys that are exact same as me, right? So this type of marketing is something they're desperate for. Desperate.
Any, as we start wrapping up now, any other thoughts that for potential customers of yours out there, they should keep in mind? If until now they still don't think they need travel insurance or something like that, what else would you say to them? I think you cut out for a second, but the question was, what would I tell them in terms of what? Maybe repeat it. I didn't hear it. Some final thought. If somebody's been listening this whole time and they remain unconvinced that they either need the insurance or that your service is distinct.
Well, listen, this is not a financial push. I'm doing this simply for whoever's listening, their own benefit. You can't leave America without medical. You can't. It's crazy. I mean, I had a guy literally 3 weeks ago in the Caribbean. He was 81 years old, but still, he had a stroke. I mean, his wife reached out to us frantic. We had to move very quickly. The medical evacuation alone was over $800,000. And by the way, work here for 1 week. Anyone who is unconvinced, come work here for a week. We see sickness, injury, hospitals all day. Okay, I'm very paranoid at this point. There is no reason simply for medical. If you don't want to, protect 50,000, 100,000, whatever, that's your decision. Okay, that's what makes travel insurance expensive. If you don't want to protect it, you want to take that risk on yourself, do it. But the final thought is, for $100 or $200, whatever it is, you're going to leave America being unprotected medically? That's insane. That's crazy.
I think you answered my question. That people might think of it as the loss of just what their investment was on the trip, but they're not thinking that it could be a lot more money than that. So it's not just that their $50,000 or $90,000 trip is, not what they hoped it would be. It could end up being a $300,000 trip and not be what they hoped it would be. So insurance is the head.
Yeah.
So
that's what keeps it interesting here, because we have so many stories of people with collapsed lungs and it's crazy. Like, really, if you see what goes on in the real world, it's wild. And so, yeah, that would be a final thought. Just get it for medical, call our team. I mean, you could buy it on your own, but there's no benefit to doing that. You're at a severe disadvantage if you're buying your own. Call us. You can go on our website. You can buy it simply through our website. We have an algorithm that goes through with the AI that we taught it. It's called the Quote Optimizer. It goes through hundreds of options in America, gives you the 1 or 2 best options for you based on the rules that we taught it. So you don't have to look through a list of 1,000. If you trust our judgment, buy one of the 2 options there, and then you're under our umbrella. And then if you have a problem, we can actually help you in real life. And just for the audience again, we'll have a link in on the show, but if you could just say again, how do people reach your service? So our website is called traveldefend.com. Simply that, traveldefend.com. Our phone number is 1-800-578-2871. We have a whole team standing by, and we're here to help you. Excellent. Well, with that, thanks, Ben, for being on the show. And to our audience, if you have any thoughts, please comment. And if this was helpful, please subscribe and share the episode with others. Thanks for having me.